still morning, right? So I'm going to say good morning. Good morning, everybody. Kendall here with Conscious Coffee. Now I see that there's stuff on my couch. It's cold. It's a little chilly outside, and I'm dog sitting this morning, so I'm just not going to be. I'm not going to be sitting out back when I got two dogs jumping on me. But this morning, hey, morning, Steve. Morning, Addison. This morning, I thought it's a great time to kind of bring up the conversation. Yesterday, I was presented this topic a couple times of how do you know when enough is enough, when it's time to say goodbye in a relationship, any relationship for that matter. There's different things that come up in relationship, and we tend to hold on to relationship a lot longer than what we should. We hang in there because of guilt. We hang in there because of shame. We hang in there because of people pleasing, because of programs and ideas that we have that that's been ingrained into us that we really should not let go of relationship, because nobody wants to be alone. Nobody, wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to be the one that's breaking up or, shutting down a relationship. But often relationship ends up really, really toxic. Anybody who's ever been married probably has had this experience where in marriage especially, we go through these waves, and no matter if you are together for 2 years or 20 years or 40 years, you go through waves in your relationship where everything's amazing and great. Hey, morning, Craig. Everything's amazing and great, and then you end up in this distance area where things are not quite as good as what they could be. And then you end up in these like really dark and dismal times in marriage, for sure, where it's just like you're just not resonating with your partner anymore. And it makes you question, should I stay with this person? Should I be with this person at all? Is this relationship over? Well, sometimes we make it through those waves, and it just is a time. It is really important in those moments to look at what is going on in life, right? What is really truly going on in life? Is your partner going through health issues? Is your partner going through, some sort of work career crisis that's going on? Are they underneath a massive amount of stress? Like what's going on in the family? Did you have some horrible challenges hit? Did you have a foreclosure on your house? Are you going through a bankruptcy? Is there something going on with kids or with relatives? You've got extra responsibility on your plate. All of those things are emotionally taxing. Therefore, they're physically, energetically draining to the system, and they're going to cause disturbance in the primary relationship as well. So it's really important to be compassionate in those moments and go, okay, I can see that some life shit is happening right here. So this is how my partner is unfortunately dealing with it. Now, the problem becomes that sometimes we get really wrapped up in that drama and trauma of life, and we just keep going down, 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 and we get very focused on the negative stuff that is occurring, or we get very caught up in the drama and the trauma, and we start to find our worth, our value. We get basically addicted to it, and so we just start drawing it in. And when one eases off and edges away, and we get this space to breathe, it's uncomfortable to breathe into a space of peace. So we instantaneously turn and we start looking for more drama and trauma and the excitement, the rush, the getting caught up. Well, I'm needed. I need to be needed. And so we start to look for being needed. Now that is a pattern that causes a whole bunch of issues, right? If you or your partner are in the midst of that, there needs to be some discussions had. Really, really, truly. Like, you got to sit down. You got to have some tough love moments here. You got to converse about this stuff and go, hey, I've kind of noticed that every time we get some breathing room, even though stuff is not coming at us in those moments, it's kind of like you're going and looking for it. So if that's an issue, then you need to definitely have that conversation. Now, there's the other thing. I was just talking to a beautiful woman just yesterday who I think is on the cusp of saying goodbye. And matter of fact, I'm relatively sure she's on the cusp of saying goodbye to her partner of however many years it's been. And she's very much at peace with it. It's like actually a beautiful process that she's going through, because she's just getting very clear and very right with where she's at in her life, in her career, in her relationship, and that even though she loves her partner still, she's not in love with her partner. And the process that they've been going through and the asking, the inquiry, all this different stuff that they've been doing, he's just kind of being that stick in the mud, and he doesn't want to budge, and he doesn't want to own his own crap. He doesn't want to take responsibility. And they're going through this nasty, wild, crazy 8 syndrome of, anger and depression, and then things are okay, and then anger, and then depression, and then things are okay, and then anger and depression. He's like, I'm going to change, I'm going to change, I'm going to change. But it's just lip service and coming back down to the exact same stuff over and over and over again, where all of a sudden you just realize my partner's only giving this lip service, so they don't actually see an issue with it. They don't actually see an issue with it, so they're not actually going to change because they don't want to change, because they don't see a problem with themselves or in the relationship. They might want these things, but they're not willing to actually do what is needed to get those things, like intimacy, connection, building trust, but having the relationship restored, building desire in a relationship. We all want to be desired, right? But are you willing to do the things that it might take to gain the desire? A lot of that has to do with trust. It really, truly does. If you're not trustworthy, if you've got problems with drugs and alcohol, if you've got problems with, just basically not being able to hold down a job, your finances, you've got gambling issues, you got things going on, or you're not very faithful, and that tends to be a big issue, right? In relationship is the faithfulness category. And sometimes even in open relationships, maybe it's just not the communication that's happening. So there's trust breaches happening. Anytime those trust breaches happen, guess what happens? Toxic relationship occurs from that, because we cannot, no matter how much as human beings love another, if we cannot trust the other person, then we're only going to be able to go so far, and there's only so much that we can actually give, and how long we'll actually be able to stay in a relationship that we don't trust the other person, okay? They can't be laying in bed sleeping with one eye open all the time, right? It's just not healthy. We ultimately are with people for the way they make us feel, which gets to how do we know in any relationship, whether it is a relationship with a significant other, whether it is just a relationship with somebody that you're dating or somebody that you're friends with, or even sometimes in family relationship, because sometimes we have to distance ourselves from family too, right? Because it just are too toxic. It's just that we are on so polar opposite sides of the universe that we no longer resonate together. This happens in all relationship. Also, you could bring it down to the relationship with your job, with your employer, the relationship with different colleagues. I know that even in relationship with clients of mine, that there comes a time when I'm just like, yeah, this isn't working anymore. I'm no longer the coach for you. I'm no longer able to help move you where you need to be. And I know that sometimes my clients go, yeah, I'm just not feeling this, the jive here anymore. We're not vibing at the same area that we were. So we're now getting into this area of just resistance. And that's what it's about. When we feel resistance, when that relationship is no longer serving us, we have to question it, okay? And I know that might sound really selfish. Well, relationship shouldn't always serve you. Well, at the end of the day, that's why we have relationship. It's to serve us, okay? No matter what, don't let your ego fool you on that, because that's just a happy space of pride and ego and victimhood and, oh, I'm a martyr. I only have relationship to be sweet to other people. I'm just a people pleaser. I'm just this, I'm just that. I do it, oh, it's all, yeah. What are you actually getting from it? It feels good to be people pleased sometimes, right? It feels good to always be the one that people come to. It feels good to be the one that can save the day. It feels good to be the one that's always there with the answers, or with the money, or with the time, or with just the shoulder to cry on. But that gives us a feeling. It's a feeling of, I'm needed. I'm valued. They love me for being me. So you see, you're still doing it. Even though you're giving a lot in that, you're still doing it for the feeling that you gain from the experience, which typically is, I'm needed or I'm loved, right? This is where I get my value. This is where I get my worth. Relationship makes us feel worthy. Relationship makes us feel loved and valuable, okay? And what does that mean? It means that it makes us happy. So when your relationship, when I say it's time to look at the relationship when it no longer serves you, that means that you have to be brutally honest with yourself and say, hey, I know that this might sound kind of selfish, but relationship is selfish, okay? It really truly is. So is this relationship serving me anymore? Or is this relationship really seriously just causing me a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension? Am I actually just holding in all my true feelings about it and I can't actually vocalize it? I can't actually be myself in a relationship. I'm actually really bitter and resentful about all this stuff, but it's not safe to speak it. Am I actually sitting around really sad because I feel so disconnected, so unloved, so used that I've been such a people pleaser and such a yes person to everybody else that I've forgotten the most important person here. And now I feel completely used up and there's no space for me. Now these relationships are not serving me at all. And I've asked for help. I've asked for connection, but they're kind of like, oh, well, tough luck. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your money. Thanks for your energy. Thanks. But we got nothing for you. Yeah. Well, that right there lets you know exactly what the true value of the relationship was. Okay. And in relationship, you hear a lot about unconditional. I love somebody unconditionally. And you like to say, well, there's no greater unconditional love than the love of a mother for her child. Yeah, that only pushes so far. At the end of the day, we really are all just human beings. Even with our children, we may love them unconditionally as long as they're doing what we want them to do. I have known plenty of people who have relationships with their parents that are far from unconditional. I know plenty of people that have relationships with their siblings that are not unconditional. And the whole topic of like close, intimate relationship where we, even get married, we commit to each other and we sit down and we say, till death do us part. I'll love you through sickness and in health, through it, no matter how poor we get, if we're homeless, it doesn't much matter. I don't care if you're sick with the worst disease on the planet, if you're missing limbs or anything, it doesn't much matter. I will love you. That all sounds very romantic and beautiful from a Hollywood perspective. Yes, we can say that and we can mean it at the altar. Sometimes. A lot of times we lie on the altar too. But we can say it. We can say it and we can actually mean it, right? And we can think that we truly feel that and we feel that in that moment. But then life comes and gives us those tests that life gives us. And relationship tests us. It is our biggest educator, is relationship. So when we really look at that and we start to push into that, how unconditional really are we? And here's the thing about unconditional. It is all about expectation. How much expectation do you have on the other person? How much expectation are you putting on the relationship? And what needs are you demanding that relationship meet? Because no relationship is going to meet all needs. No relationship can be your everything. Okay. And if you are putting your desires and needs 100% into that other person, then what you're doing is you're putting all your power over there too. So how do you know when you need to say goodbye? It's a feeling. It is. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that you've come around a couple times. It's a feeling that when you just keep coming back to the same problem over and over and over again, and you're meeting massive resistance, and you can look in the other person's eyes and you can see their mouth moving and saying, oh no, I want to work on this, but the action just isn't there. It really comes down to the proof is in the pudding, right? That's what it is. The proof is in the pudding. And we can speak a lot of beautiful words, but at the end of the day, what really speaks our truth is what we focus on, what we give our attention to, and how we apply ourselves to it. So what you want will manifest. What you truly value will be seen. It's where your attention is at. And if you say that your attention is on any relationship and that you value the relationship, then there should be some energy and some focus going toward it. There should be some compassion and some care. There should be a desire to share unconditionally with that other person, a giving and a receiving. If you're constantly being met with resistance, with shutdown, with anger, with guilt, with manipulation, then I would say that unless that makes you really truly happy, which it doesn't make anybody happy, then get real with yourself and say goodbye. There's my daughter. I'm not saying goodbye to her. She's saying goodbye to the dirt in her clothes. Okay. So there you have it. It is, it really does, I think at the end of the day, the closing of any relationship probably is based on trust. And trust is one of those things on the front side of relationship that we give pretty freely. We give it because we want the best. We see the best in people. And it's so easy to see the best in somebody that we don't really know, isn't it? Like, they are just amazing. People we don't know, that we just meet, that ignite us in some way, they're just like, we got our rose tinted glasses on and they can do no wrong. It takes a while. And that's the beautiful thing about relationship, is that true relationship, we get involved and we work through it. And it takes anywhere from 6 to 18 months up to 3 years to actually break down the barrier that we have in new relationship. It's called new relationship energy. And after about 18 months to about 3 years, depending on the relationship, depending on how often we're seeing each other, depending on a whole bunch of stuff, how life, presents stuff to us, allowing us to see the evidence of who that other person is and allowing us to present our authentic selves. But over the course of that time, what we actually end up doing is we start to meet that real person. And the rose-tinted glasses start to come off. And then we go, oh, do I really like this person? Or do I really love this person? Am I really willing to commit at whatever level we've chosen to commit or that we've stated? And it's really important to give time to that, no matter the relationship, whether it is business or intimate or other friendship, okay? It does not matter. Realize that on the front side of any relationship, that person is amazing. And you are amazing too, because we are presenting our best version of ourselves. We're not letting it all hang out in those moments. And that's why stuff kind of starts to frail, okay? And goes a little wonky as time goes on, because the truth does start to come out. Our humanness manifests for both parties, and the relationship takes on its life that it's supposed to have. We get to meet each other. So you have to ask yourself, once you've met the person, now that you've served the time in there, okay? Because the majority of people are not going to catch the red flags on the front side. There's always flags going off. But remember those rose-tinted glasses. We don't see the red flags. We just think that they're hot pink. And we're just like, woo, look at that. Let's just go, right? So we're just going after that, and we just think that's great. But those flags are still there. Now, if you catch some of those flags, you got to ask yourself on any point, like when you have a flag raising up, what does that flag actually do? Because even though you think that might be a hot pink flag and not a red flag telling you to, whoa, stop, right? That flag still sends off an emotional trigger in your physical body, right? You're going to feel it. When you sense it, when you see it, when you experience it, you feel that flag. Now, in those moments, you get to choose. Do I disregard the flag and carry on because this is fun, this is exciting, this is good, but what are my expectations around it? Or do I go, whoa, that's a red flag, and hey, I already had 2. How many red flags are you willing to give yourself? Because that's the ultimate decision there. How long are you willing to keep pushing on something that your emotional, physical, psychological bodies are going no to? But man, it sure does look good on the outside. Man, that package deal that they told me about, that was really, really good. They sold me good on the front side. And I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for all of that to come about. Get real with yourself. There is no timeline on when enough is enough. Enough is enough when you've had enough, when you're done. When you are done sacrificing, when you are done not receiving what you're needing in a relationship, when you are done having to hold resistance and not be yourself, when you are done seeing this fakeness with somebody, when you are done being lied to, when you are done feeling the feelings that you might be feeling that you don't want to feel, so you choose to ignore. When you are done just not being happy in the relationship, that is time to say goodbye. Okay, guys, I could go on and on and on with this topic. I could hit it in 15 different directions, and I could come up with a whole bunch of other stuff, because yesterday was this topic. It just, a person messaged me asking me a question, and I said, that's a great conscious coffee topic. I maybe I'll do that. And then I was like, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then I had, 3 different clients come in, 2 of which told me basically the same stuff. It was just like, well, we just had these conversations about when is enough in relationship, and all these beautiful discussions and concepts about all different versions of relationship, and the reality that we have relationship to make us happy. We are in any relationship because of the way it makes us feel. And that's what I want you to focus on today. How does the relationship that you are going about truly make you feel? Get real with who you are. Get real with how you are actually feeling in a relationship, and then make a decision from there. And if you're going, well, I don't know how to let that person go, I don't know how to drop them softly, there's no such thing as a soft drop, okay? There isn't. It's gonna sting. It's gonna hurt. And that too shall pass. It will pass. Realize that the longer you hold on to something that is not meant to be, the more pain, the more struggle, the more trauma, the more drama it's going to cause for both parties. It is not healthy or loving to hold on to something that has long since died. Okay? So let it go and bury it today if that is where you are at. Just be real with that fact right there. All right, so if I've said anything, hey, morning, David, morning, Tamira. I saw a whole bunch of people pop on here. Morning, Craig. I think I already said hello to you. Yes, you already said good morning to me. All right, so if I've said anything on here that has touched you, made you go, aha, made you think of somebody who needed to hear that message because they are sitting in a relationship that they've been in for the last 10 years and they shouldn't be in anymore, and you've been trying to tell them in every which way, but it's just not getting through. Yeah. Or maybe you just need to use this message to pass it to somebody a lot you want to say goodbye to, and you're like, hey, here you go. Here's a clue for you. Whatever it might be. I don't care. You're more than welcome to use my conscious coffee for all of that and more. Just hit the share button. Help me share these messages. And if I've said anything and makes you go, hey, how do I go about doing that? I would like to know how to have these difficult conversations. What's some of the things that I can do to bring compassion and intimacy into relationship? How can I rebuild the trust that has been broken? Because I'm not done with this relationship. Or maybe I want to attract in the right relationship, and I'm scared to move from here to here because, it's not fun to not have some sort of romantic vehicle or friendship vehicle or something like that. Then message me about one-on-one coaching, because that's what I do day in and day out with people, is help them have fuck yes lives. And that is in every area of life. It all comes back to what makes you happy and how can you quickly achieve that. You can follow me at www.kendalwilliams.com. And as always, stop existing, start living. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee.